Guess what day it is, y'all? That's right. It is cards. And guess what? Oh. 2 slices of cake. 2 slices of cake. I hope you brought ice cream. I hope you brought lasagna, pizza, some sort of cheat meal. I got the cards right here as well. And notice I got a lot of cards as well. And I got a special guest. He is a fellow Tampanian, fellow tampon, as the assholes in Orlando call us. But I'm going to bring on Borys, a.k.a. the Hobby Box. You guys already know who Borys is, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics, what's trending right now, our strategies for the upcoming sports, what's been working, what hasn't, as well as our sport's going to happen now with all these players opting out of the NFL and with all these cases we're seeing in baseball as well. So let's bring them right on. Guys, thanks so much. Fantasy Football Card Quest, Card Collector, Personal Finance Dad. There he is. Oh, I'm going to change it one more time. That's the view I want. Obviously, it's the first time here with StreamYard. But what's up, Borys? How are you doing today, man?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
Doing great. So we got a lot of people hopping on right now. Dude, what's up in your world? I see David's on here. Mario. Brian, dude, you know I got the cake right here. And Borys, you actually have ice cream too, right? You have it right there?
Yeah. I'll get some later on.
All right, you get it later on. But guys, I got 2 slices. Hope you have something on your end. Let's dive in a bit because people are going to be joining on. But I want to know a bit of your background, what got you into cards. And then from there, we're going to dive right into strategies and different things that are on these guys' mind right here.
Yeah, and today it's actually Professor Borys, but yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. I don't have an echo right now, do I? Because my ears kind of died out real quick, and I just want to make sure I'm not like feeding into everybody. We're good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so just getting into the cards, I've always been kind of just I would say just I don't know what you would call me, an entrepreneur, hustler type dude, and just trying to figure out different methods to really just use what all the different things that I've found out in life to make some extra money. And so, one of the things that came up was cards. Just about a year ago, I used to collect when I was a kid. I collected a lot of Pokemon cards, was like basically the big thing for me. And I collected a lot of like Shaq and Michael Jordan when I was younger, like in the 90s. I had Shaq and Michael Jordan like painted on my wall when I was a kid. And so, my dad had this guy, we used to call him Louis the Looper. He actually passed away, but he did like artwork like that. It was pretty cool. But I would collect there. And that kind of died out for me. In high school, probably. I have like a terror story with my Pokemon cards that really just got me off of the trading card game for a while.
You got to tell us. I mean,
well, I'll tell you, I had all these hollow Pokemon that I was like super, like I loved them, and I was collecting them, and all I needed was like this Charizard. And my dad, I have like brothers and sisters from another mother, basically. And he wanted to give them some of my cards. He was like, hey, can I give them some of your holographics? And I was like a real nice kid, when I was 13. Now I'm not a nice kid for sure. But I was like, yeah, man, they can pick a couple each, each person could pick a couple. I had like 40 in there, or however many holographics it was. And he came back and there was 1 holographic in there. And that was it for me. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this all over again. I was so mad. It's like, how mad can you be at your brothers and your dad? But yeah, that was it. And I was just like, I tried Magic for a little bit, but that was more of like playing the card game and stuff like that. And really just started getting back into sports cards and more sports collecting over the last couple years. And then cards was like, I really dove in this year. Like I had a friend, he did a lot of cards, and he was like, man, you should really get back into this. I know you've been like flipping like, different things from like Walmart and shoes and stuff like that. And he was like, this would be like right up your alley. And because I know a lot about sports. So
There you are.
Yeah,
So
long-winded. Sorry.
no, that's good, man. Three things stuck out. Number one, as a kid, when you said Jordan and Shaq, there was one thing that reminded me of something I had in my room as well, which I didn't even remember I had until you mentioned that. I had a 6'6" cardboard cutout of Michael Jordan standing there with a basketball in his hand that would just stare at me at night while I go to sleep. It was like Jordan. And I think that's also the power of Jordan too, because I was a Magic fan growing up in Tampa, and Jordan and the Bulls were a huge rival because it was in the Penny and Shaq days, it was Jordan, Pippen, Rodman against Magic. And for me to still have a Jordan cutout speaks to the brand of Jordan, because he was like the rival. He was the guy that stopped the Orlando Magic from winning in a lot of series and a lot of like that 94 to 97 or 93 to 97 phase. Another thing, lesson for you kids out there, don't be generous. Borys was generous and it backfired on him. So don't ever be generous. That's what lesson I got. I forgot the last point, but dude, that's so cool, man. And
hey, that cutout, is that the same cutout from Home Alone?
It may be. Did he have a Jordan?
That thing is worth so much money.
Oh, damn.
Because I wanted to buy one. I had a Christmas party I was doing, and I wanted to do a Christmas party. I did a Home Alone Christmas party. We did it that way, but I wanted to get the cardboard cutout, and I wanted to put him on. Hold on, my lighting's weird. And I wanted to put him on the train and just have him going around during the Christmas party. And that was like the big thing that I wanted to do. And I looked it up, and the cardboard cutout's like $1,000 at least or something. No, it was like more than that. It was like,
holy shit.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it's very expensive.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you could recreate one quite affordably, but it's not the original. It's not that early to mid 90s Jordan cutout. But I thought of that as like the coolest decoration for $20. I'm like, this is the closest I'm going to get to having Michael Jordan in my room. And there he is, just standing there smiling, looking non-threatening at all. But he looks great right there. And you know, what kid wouldn't want that? Anyway. So I want to dive into some topics, but before we do, there's a lot of people I want to acknowledge here. Brian, you're always here. Mario Pluck Bros, Jason's Breaks, of course. Jason's generosity. He was the first person to be so generous to me. He actually offered to send me cards in exchange for a 2012-2013 Damian Lillard Select. And I said, dude, I'm not really into that trade just because I don't know the guy so much, but I'll give it to you for whatever, just because you want it. And then he ended up sending me cards anyway. And then I got a package for him in the mail right now. I hope it arrives. Chow Mom, what's up? Another important announcement. My audience, I checked the analytics. I have 1.2% female. So the Sausage Fest has a little bit of salad or tacos in the buffet. So I'm very proud of that as well. Mark from Maui, what's going on? Let's go into a bit of how your experience has been over the last few months now that you're really into cards. What is your strategy right now, and what was it, let's say, a couple months ago?
Yeah, I think, okay, so the only thing that's really changed for me at the moment, and this is a little bit different. I know we differ a little bit on this, but for me, because I was buying cards to get them graded and then make profit that way, or hold on to, because like I'm only going to keep 10s in my collection. I mean, personal collection. I mean, I will keep 9s, but it has to be like expensive 9s, you know, like a Kawhi Leonard, or, I mean, to me, that's expensive right now. I know there's more expensive than that, but so I would do like, I was buying more like singles ungraded, examining PSA 10s for hours, figuring out like where the lines matched up. And as long as, the centering was good and the edges and the corners look good, then I would take a chance on that. But with everything that happened with PSA, with being backed up and then being shut down, I kind of switched that up a little bit, and I kind of turned more to the graded cards. And I started investing more in the PSA 9s and using those as opportunities to invest, and then flip those cards into, either PSA 10s or, a little bit of profit as well. So that's kind of been more of my strategy, how it's changed, how I adapted when things kind of went down with Corona. And honestly, it's been working out pretty well. But definitely different ways to look at the market, but that's kind of been my strategy. and just thinking in terms of people who like maybe people I've been trying to look in different directions that other people aren't really looking in. So like one of the big ones for me has been Brandon Ingram, and I really believe in him, and just kind of like what he I mean, he's got his first All-Star this year. He's playing alongside of Zion Williamson, and so all eyes are going to be on the all eyes are going to be on the Pelicans. And so that was one of the players that I've been like that not too many people were like super up on, but I have no idea why, to be honest.
Well, that's an interesting point you mentioned, because a lot of times it really is not the main guy. The main guy gets all the attention, but then the prices get super pumped. But then it's usually that sidekick where you can find some really good value. And the first example of that for me was buying the Scottie Pippen raw cards on ComC when I just got in, thinking, hey, Last Dance is coming up. Who's the obvious choice? Michael Jordan. And then who's the second obvious? It'd be Scottie Pippen. And when that happened, just that bulb turning on for me in terms of just like, okay, my thought process actually worked. I can duplicate this, because once we have the formula, we could watch whatever sport. When we understand, okay, eyes are here, which means opportunity is there, then we'll be fine. The really interesting thing is how you started with raw cards and then going to graded. And now that I've cleared out Beckett, I've pretty much spilled the beans on my last video on Beckett being this amazing source of low-end raw cards, even though it is a scavenge, to say the least. It's like going through a flea market trying to find that one stand that has that one box of cards, but online, because it's just I'm not sure if you're familiar with Beckett, but it's just not a very fun platform to navigate. But using ComC's sales history and looking at the trends there, I'm able to go on Beckett and do that, but it takes forever. Now I'm like, all right, I've gotten like 2,600 plus raw cards, more of like an online store in a way where I can send it to ComC, I can grade some. Now what's the next step? Well, now I need to go into graded and I could scale up. But it was more about testing out what's working and seeing if my thought process is right. So now I feel better scaling up versus starting at the top, realizing I was missing a couple factors and then losing money. And the worst thing for me as an investor and for the fun element is to lose money, because it's not fun when you lose. I can, if I break even, if I make a couple mistakes, that's something, but to lose a couple $100s on a card would take a lot of fun away from this. What's up, guys? I see Doug the Pug. David Hunter, you're always in here as well. David Siebert, what's up, man? So let me ask you something else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Doug. Well, dude, if your name was anything else, you couldn't have gone with Doug the Pug. It's like you can't be like Robert the Pug or Brett the Pug, or what's up, Brett? MMA Picks is in here as well. All right, so let's talk a bit about something that's on my mind, and I want you guys to ask some questions here. If you're just hopping on and you didn't get to see my cake, and that's something that's important, here's one slice. Ready for the other? Boom! Man. Two-Face. There it is right there. So a big topic is first-year cards. Now that we saw that LeBron James sell for $1.8 million, so now big money is entering the market. Rookie cards are going up through the roof. Prism first year has been the go-to first-year card. And I saw you have that discussion with a personal finance dad last weekend on different first-year cards. And there's three that are on the top of my mind. There's Prism's number one. There is Optic, which seems to be number two, at least what I'm noticing. And then Select is hovering at number three. But if we remove those, what would you say would be another first-year card that you think has a chance to become a staple in people's collections and desirable for investors?
If we remove Select, Optic, and Prism?
Yeah, because Prism's happening. Optic, I'm seeing already. Select, I'm saying like Mosaic, Revolution, Hoops, Donruss. What else we got? Court Kings for NBA. Do you think that there's one that has an advantage to be a first-year favorite?
To be a first-year favorite? That's a good question. I would say it seems so. I would say like there's two that come to mind that it's possible. The biggest thing, it seems that the hobby itself has chosen hoops as like that beginner kind of coming in type of like, where you used to buy prisms is now like where you would buy a hoops card. That's where it seems that the market has chosen. To me, it would be between hoops and mosaic. I think mosaic is just a pretty card, and it has like some nice looks to it. So I see the ins and out of both those. I wouldn't go with anything. I wouldn't go with anything outside of those two. In my opinion, I just don't think Revolution or like they're nice cards, and Court Kings is a nice card. But the way that things have been lately, it seems that like people that are coming into the market are more about the easier things to understand and the things that are easier to get your hands on. So hoops, mosaic, they're easier, even though you're still paying like, if you can't get them retail, you're still paying that premium for them. Whereas in a box of like the other ones are more hobby. So maybe that's why that's there. But yeah, I would say, I mean, it does seem like that, like the hobby has chosen hoops as its beginner in coming in. To be honest with you,
see, I was doing like a little debate because like every card has trade-offs, right? Every card is like, well, this one's kind of pretty, but like kind of not. Or Mosaic was one that I hear a lot about, and I was like, Mosaic 2019, 2020 Mosaic, I think it looks great, and it reminds me of Topps Chrome in terms of just clean. It's not over the top flashy, but it's just clean. It looks like it can be a staple. But what if Mosaic is one of those sets that only lasts for 2 years? Do we care about first year Mosaic if it doesn't last? Because what we're talking about now with Prism, it goes back 8 years. So now there's like a bit of a legacy. It's proven. And when I think of Optic, all right, 2016, you have a couple of years under its belt. But Mosaic, I'm nervous that that's not going to be something that people care about being the first year up until several years from now. And hoops, dude, there's something, man, with that paper. I'm like, it looks cheap. I see the Anthony Davis standing there in this like untailored Joseph A. Banks suit, with a cap. And I'm like, I really want to stare at that versus him dunking. You know what I mean? Like those draft cards, I think look horrible, even the rookies. But then, I'll say Court Kings. I was like, oh, Court Kings is cool, but it doesn't have the flash. It doesn't have the foil look that we get with Optic and we get with the others. So can we look at a paper card in this modern era and actually think of it higher than we would a foil card? And like, you dig for diamonds, you dig for gold. You don't dig for like just a normal rock. Right.
No doubt. I think like, and to go off that point, I think it really depends on the player too. It can be interchangeable because, to be honest with you, like I'm a big fan. I think really what put hoops more on the map is that Giannis Antetokounmpo, because that thing looks sweet. Like a Giannis hoops looks awesome. He's like dunking. He's got like, he's got that black background. It looks really clean. But you look at like Luka Doncic, hoops, or even like especially this year's like Zion and Ja, they kind of look like cartoons, and they're not as appealing to me, but I feel like the Giannis kind of put the hoops on the board. That's kind of where I fall, but I think it interchanges. I think it interchanges based off of the player and what looks better, because like it just, that's where I say it is. But I mean, I could be wrong. But like, there Steve's saying Revolution currently sells higher than hoops and PSA 10.
I was looking at Revolution on ComC and they were like pennies. I mean, 75 cents, $1.50, so little. But one thing with Revolution, I think it was 2014, 2015 was Revolution or something like that. Maybe it was a bit older, but it has a few years under its belt and its design was so flashy. I felt like a kid and an adult that used to collect as a kid could appreciate it. But I just don't know anything else about Revolution. But that first year, I think it was 14, 15 or 15, 16. I was like, hey, this is actually a pretty good looking card. I could imagine it being a PSA 10 and it looking good. Something people want to display, not like, a Joseph A. Banks suit or just a paper card. Like if I think about an 86 Fleer Jordan, if there was a chrome version of it, if there was a foil version, I can only imagine that would be the premier card. While the rookie card we know that Jordan has that's going for 50,000, 70,000, that's the only option. It's not like there was all these different options. So I'd love to hear the different points based on what you guys are saying. And it's interesting because I hear everything: Select, Revolution, Spectra, everything. But I think that's the fun of it, is that there is no clear answer right here.
Yeah, a lot of it comes from preference, as well. So to me, like the biggest underdog is Select. And I think Select, I mean, I know that you said that was third, which is, it's obvious. I just think there's so much to be
Select highlight, man. Dude.
I think
we're not doing this just to pump it up. It's a good looking card, right?
It's a really good looking card. Like Select, and like I said, like the rarity of it, like, I was looking at, if you look at pop reports and stuff, like the other day I bought a 2018 Select Luka Doncic PSA 10 for just because it just like, here, I'll show it.
Yeah.
But like, look how cool that card looks. He's in his position, he's shooting, and you got the background back there. It looks pretty chromy. It's really nice. It's got a gold and black, and his colors, and it just is a really nice looking card. And this card is, so like really compared to a PSA 10 Luka Doncic Prism, I mean, there's a lot less of this card than there is of that Prism. So is it only a matter of time before like the hobby matures even more, and they're like, okay, why are we paying more for the Prism than we're paying for the Select, which is a lot more rare?
Yeah, and when you mentioned the look of Select, it has that natural, I think it's called vignettes, like when you edit a photo and it makes it really dark around, which accentuates the middle of the frame. So the player really pops out. It's not distracting. It's like, here is the player, and here's some like nice, elegant design to really make it look. It looks expensive. I'll say that. Select looks expensive based on the design. It's Vegas Finds. I see you there. Don't worry. I got a slice for you. Here's your slice. Oh, there's the other one too. Just have to throw that every.
It's a dope looking card, and it's an action photo rather than like the hoops where they're just. It looks like they're like posing, and there's like a black background. It reminds me of like taking senior pictures.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
got drafted, and I mean, people like them, and I like this look of Optic for the last couple of years. But I mean, to me, the Select still looks better.
It still does. The one point I'll make with Optic, I think it's Optic has a lot of helmets off in the pictures. My friend Andy, Fantasy Football Card Quest, was mentioning that. And it's nice to be able to see a face of the athletes. And I've even noticed there's certain Tom Brady cards I'll buy because I like to look at all the different haircuts he's gone through over the years. He's like Brad Pitt, where no matter what, you could be shaved, you could have long hair, you could have medium hair. He just looks good in it. But it's cool because I get to see more of the player or the person behind the helmet or under the helmet.
Yeah.
One thing that was a big concern. That was what Uncle Violence brought up. Is Select going to be retail next year? I don't know, and I don't believe so. I don't know if you've heard anything. But that would change the game tremendously in my book. Is like, if now kids are going to Walmart or we can go to Walmart and buy boxes of Select, I can't imagine the demand for first year and second year Select cards not going through the roof.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're just really good looking cards, man. I mean, the only reason I haven't bought so many is because, the Prism is just such an easy market right now, and so the Select is more of a long-term hold for me. So that Doncic, I'm going to hold that. And honestly, I mean, I feel like that's probably going to carry more value than the Prism later on, in my opinion. Like after a few years, after people realize that there's only a few of these cards and this card looks pretty sweet. I mean, the Prism looks pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie, but like it's a pretty cool looking card. And they have like the variations. Like, man, I wish I could get that Doncic Tiger. That would be the ultimate Grail card. Even though like it could dip in price, like one broken.
Anything could.
Anything.
Yeah. Well, like, there was a couple cards I really loved, which were on the football side of Select, where they have the tricolor, where it's red, orange, and silver. And I was like, damn, I was getting the Tom Brady's and the Rob Gronkowski's in that just because those were Bucks colors. I'm thinking, man, I kind of want to get all the current Bucks in that. But just they have some really cool parallels. Select has some really good ones. So to answer the question, which I wanted to bring up just because it's really intriguing as money enters the hobby every week and we see record high prices of these rookie cards. Well, it's going to trickle down. And where is it going to trickle down to? Because we can talk about the players, and we're going to get into different players that you guys are asking about. Borys knows way more about current basketball and football than me. Not so much baseball, right?
Yeah, I'm not really huge in baseball. I know some stuff, but I'm not I know a lot about football and basketball are like my two big ones.
Okay, well, we'll get into those later on. What else has been on your guys' mind? I'd love to hear what the topics are. Because, like, again, we only have the beginning of sports. And, of course, when I check the news, the one thing I see is, all right, more players. I think a couple New England Patriot players opted out of this upcoming year. We have more coronavirus cases for in MLB with the Florida Marlins. Are we going to have a full season in baseball? And are we even going to get to football with all these players opting out? And I'd love to hear your take, especially on the football side of it, because you're in like ground zero of coronavirus, which is Florida. So it was New York. Now it's like all the New Yorkers came down to Florida.
Yeah, right.
Now you're in COVID Central. I don't know if like people are running outside like they're chickens with their heads cut off or what. But what's it like in Florida, and what are you hearing about anything on the sports side?
I mean, dude, like it's totally normal down here. To be honest with you, I mean, like I don't want to get too much into it because then it starts getting kind of into politics and stuff. And the coronavirus is very serious for a lot of people. So you can't really downplay that. I think our current situation with media and stuff like that does a really good job of like bolstering and making things more fear-based than anything. And at this point, like, to me, and I say this with like all grace, like, you're probably more likely to die from the flu than the coronavirus, in my opinion. I've known a ton of people that have gotten it. I've had it, and it was, the flu was 10 times worse. I had a double ear infection, which is probably the reason why I got it. I had got a double ear infection like 2 weeks prior, and so my body was like fighting that off. And then like right after I got better, it was like a week, and then I got corona. And when I got corona, like the biggest thing was I couldn't smell. And outside of that,
you need that if you play football,
huh?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you need that. Right.
You need to smell the farts of all the other defensive linemen.
Anyway, cool. But that's the whole that was the whole thing, is like it really didn't, like, I was out for 2 weeks, and I know it affects different people different ways. I think at the end of the day, like, we're going to get to the place here where it's going to be like, all right, guys, if you're not susceptible, like, go on with your normal life. And if you are, like, take precautions. And like, if you have people in your family that aren't susceptible, just don't go around them. Stay away from them for this season until, we figure out vaccinations or something like that, So I think there will be a season. I think, the world has to continue. We can't like stay inside. And I know a lot of states would like that, but I just don't understand the logic behind that. Like we were talking about the gym, like you said, there's no they said they had the cross fitness guy on as well. And he was like, there's no data or evidence that shows that, you're more likely to pick up this virus while working out, like it just doesn't make a lot of sense, So in that regards, I think we are going to have the season. I think it's going to look a lot different than what it has in the past. But honestly, life around here looks pretty normal, to be honest with you. There's not like anybody I know that has had it is fine now. They've gotten better, like within 2 weeks or something like that. And the death rate is like super low. So I have the tendency to be long-winded, so just shut me up whenever.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. But, and it's like, I'm interested because here I'm in LA, you're in Tampa, the other side of the country, and my reality here and my perspective is way different than what yours would be over there. But regardless, I don't know how that's going to transfer over to if we're going to have a season, if they're going to try it and it's not going to work. A couple things that worry me with NFL is just the amount of players. It's not like You
Yeah,
can't really do a bubble with the NFL. If it was the end of the season, maybe for a month, you could say, all right, this is going to be a lot, but for a month, it's a bubble. But when you're talking August until January, February, that's a long time. At the same time, the players that are opting out, I think the NFL's okay until you get the big name quarterbacks, because it is a quarterback league. They are the stars. They bring the money, the attention. They're the lead singer of the band. So it's like, if the lead singer is playing, you can get some other guys, third string corners, to step up and say, you know what? The first string and the second string cornerback decided to opt out. This is my time to prove myself. And that means I'll be willing to be in a bubble or to be extremely safe because I want this opportunity. But when you get a Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, those type of guys that say we're not doing it, I think that's when the NFL could be in a lot of trouble. But the good thing is that quarterbacks are probably one of the most safe positions in terms of not getting contact every play, unless your offensive line sucks, in which case you're getting sacked a lot. But if not, you're pretty good. And with so much pressure on the quarterbacks, I'm sure the NFL would say, look, Patrick, Tom, Drew, we need you guys to be as safe as possible this season, because you guys are carrying the entire league, because we can't afford for you guys to go down. But
we got Falco anyway,
Yeah.
So, and the rest of the replacements if we need them. So I'm sure Keanu Reeves will come out of retirement.
Yeah. Maybe Adam Sandler. Wasn't he like in a jail hard?
No, Adam Sandler was the longest yard. That was the yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton
with Keanu Reeves, and his name was Falco, and that one's pretty funny too.
Damn, there's so many good football movies now, because I'm thinking of Varsity Blues. I loved Varsity Blues. But what's interesting is that with baseball, like what Ziggy's pointing out with baseball being doomed. By the way, Ziggy, I got something in the mail today, so I'm gonna have to open this up in a bit. Is baseball might be the one sport that actually tries and fails, which gives the NFL a good idea as to how much stricter they need to be in order to succeed, because we're seeing what baseball is doing and what is working and what's not. So I'm really curious there. But it would suck. It would suck if we don't get sports. And even if it's not the way it was before, as long as this season happens, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's like the NBA playoffs. I'm watching, there's no fans, and it looks really weird. They have these fake screens up, but it's better than nothing. And for this season, better than nothing, I'll take all day. Ideal, I'll wait for next year or the following year. But as long as we can have a season, it's competitive, it's with starters or majority starters, and at least the stars, at least, for sanity's sake, I'd love it. But the card side, we need it, because right now we just got a lot of movements in cards based off of money coming in, but not very much based off of player activity.
Right.
So
yeah,
let me see. Let's start asking or taking some questions here. I see Samuel's views are PSA 8s worth picking up. What's your view on PSA 8s, Boris?
I mean, I guess it just depends on what kind. I mean, it really, it's based off of the actual card, I guess. I mean, I mean, you're gonna see, like you said, like the rising tide will rise all the boats. So I think 8 is kind of like, especially in the older cards, that's great. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at some of the older stuff that doesn't really grade out well. I think in the newer ones, it's just like I don't know, because there's so much availability of like 9s that like I haven't really dipped into the 8s, to be honest with you. I've never bought a PSA 8. I would buy a PSA 8 of maybe like someone like a Mahomes or something like that. But that's probably where I would draw the line. Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it is that obviously 10s are the best, 9s go for more than raw, and then 8s is where it like goes to, all right, who's the player, what's the card, and is it better taking the chance on a raw card? Because a raw card that looks really good and like maybe it's a bit off center, but it looks sharp, it looks clean, that could be an 8 right there off the bat, with maybe depending on the seller, depending on the price range, could be a 9, but let's just say it's an 8. That's when I I would probably go, all right, well, if it's at the same price of raw, I would probably go with the 8 because I don't want to take the chance and the time of going up. But if it's going to be a higher price than what I can get raw by a margin, then I'd probably see if I can find a really good looking raw card. But
Right.
again, like that's such a card specific and player specific question, because a Michael Jordan PSA 8 rookie card, hell yeah, I'll take it. But I'd have to look at the graphs. I'd have to look at the opportunity cost and understand if that is a better place than putting my money into something else. But overall, when you have a LeBron James rookie card sell for 1.8 million, and you know that big companies and big money is going to flood the market, an 8 doesn't look so bad anymore if it's a great card. Like, 5 years ago, PSA 8 is garbage, but now, depending on the card, I think it can be great.
Yeah, and then also, yeah, and that's I kind of just fall in line with I don't mess with the PSA 8s. I mean, honestly, like I said, unless it's like someone that's already their value is so high because of what they've accomplished already, like Tom Brady, Mike Trout, those guys, the GOAT kind of people, but outside of that, like you said, it just depends on the price. Now, like that's where I look at the PSA 9s as well. Because that's kind of where I went with is, with the raw cards, sometimes you can buy the PSA 9 for almost the same price as a raw card. You know what I mean? And
that makes no sense.
It makes no sense, right? Buy the PSA 9 and you already know what you got. You know what I'm saying?
And you save the time, the hassle, you have the
it costs insurance. Money. It costs money and sales, and there's a chance you might lose the card. Most of the time, people aren't putting insurance on these cards. Like people are sending, $800 cards in the mail, under $5, USPS. Let's be honest. And we're just like,
stuff like this
on a prayer. You know what I mean? And so, so at the end of the day, it's like, give me the 9. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, look, someone just said it. Give me the 9. Like I don't have to deal with the time that it's going to take to figure out even if that raw card is going to be something, like if it's going to grade a 10. Most of the time, a lot of times I've sent cards in and I thought they were not going to get 10 at all, and they do. Or sometimes I sent some in that I thought were 10s for sure, and they came back 9s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it saves time, but also when you're selling online, it's assurance. It's literally, you don't have to trust me on the quality. You don't have to trust the camera, or if I altered the image with any filters. Here it is. You can even look the number up on PSA's website. They did all the verification for both of us. So there's the trusted source. I'm in the same boat, and it's funny because I just lucked out. I got a contact at PSA's office here about 20 miles away. I've been emailing them nonstop, saying, not nonstop, but like once in a while saying, hey, can I please drop off a bulk submission? I live 2 miles away. It was an exaggeration. I live about 30 miles away, but still very close by. And I'd really just appreciate being able to drop off, and I had to follow up a few times. And then a really nice guy, I think his name's Nick. Yeah, I believe Nick responded saying, this one time you can drop off, but because of how slammed we are and with COVID, I'll make an exception. But, and if it works out, then maybe again in the future. But so then my latest challenge, which is to find semi-rigids, and finding these semi-rigid grading top loaders are so freaking tough right now. It's like searching for heroin. I'm like, do you have any rigids? Do you have any semi-rigids? No, we're sold out. Do you know anyone that can sell me some semi-rigids? No, man. I mean, like, there could be a black market for these damn semi-rigid card holders for grading. Yeah. And I luckily contacted a store that just got them in this morning. They're shipping in, so they're saving me $400 for tomorrow. I got to go pick them up. But I'd like to ask you at a later date about your first submission, because I haven't done a submission yet. And it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I'm not going to go through this process a lot. So I'm going to send like 400 or 600 just at once, just so I don't have to deal with this again. I could literally just have a whole batch back and then, not worry about it until the next go around.
Right.
Here, let me ask you something, since you have done it, and we'll take a couple more questions here. Any tips on doing your first submission that may not be common sense?
That may not be common sense?
I mean, like, write your name, your address, include the money, like put the cards, package them nicely, but anything that you would advise people to do?
I mean, for me, I've found that doing, and you're close, so that makes sense. But I found that like group submissions, like those, like people don't really know, aren't like, it seems like people don't know that they can do that. But it seems like a lot of the certain people in that market have better turnaround times, like whoever they have their representative, make sure that they get favorable times back. So like, and I've been submitting to like different groups just to see who's faster, who's better. And there's certain people that definitely get more tens, I've noticed. And there's certain people that get their submissions back a lot faster. And so I've done a lot of group submits to like people, and that has really like been more of like the approach that I've taken. But you have to know, you have to be careful with who you're sending those cards to. You definitely want it to be somebody that you have, like someone has recommended. Like I always recommend a guy that I always send my stuff to, and his turnaround times are way faster than anybody else's.
You want to mention him, or do you want to keep that secret?
Huh?
You want to mention who that is, or do you want to keep it secret, or have people reach out to you afterwards?
Oh no, his name is Dusty Baker. On
Isn't that
Facebook.
like a wrestler?
No, that was a coach. That's the name of a baseball coach back in the day.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
that's not him, though.
But it's not him. No.
Okay, gotcha.
But Dusty Baker, he has a Facebook group called Subhub Grading, and that's the best one that I've found so far. He like cleans cards as well. So like if you have card and you want the best possible chance of it getting a 10, you can pay for a service for him to send it in. So that's one guy. And then the other guy's name is, probably everyone knows the other guy's name is like KK Sports Cards or whatever. He actually lives in the area. I'm trying to connect with him.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm looking at these comments here, so I'm glad you said that. We're going to answer, Mark, your question about Saquon Barkley. But yes, I was thinking of Dusty Rhodes. That's right. Dusty Rhodes, who was like Gold Dust's dad, which is like the last time I mentioned Dusty Rhodes or Gold Dust was probably 1994. So it's crazy to even mention those names. But that's how few Dusties I know, is that Dusty Rhodes from 1994 is the first guy I think about. I dropped Zicky's package here, so hopefully I didn't ding up any corners on my Anderson Varejao RPA. But I'm going to open this up right here. What's your thoughts on Saquon Barkley?
As an investment or as a player?
I guess either.
I mean, as a player, he's phenomenal. I mean, I think he's like, I mean, what he does on the Giants is great comparatively to like, what other running backs I think in his similar position would be able to do. He's a stout running back. I think, we saw with his injury, he came back a little bit early, but it looks like he's very quick to heal. That's good. It seemed like when he got injured, it was like no time he was back. It was like he was like the Terminator. But, he didn't play as well. So that could have been, something where he shouldn't have come back so early. As far as an investment standpoint, I would say, if you want to buy some of his raw cards, that's fine. To see if anything's going to pan out with him. It's really tough to invest in running backs. The big issue with running backs is running backs is like the most short-lived, unless you're Frank Gore and you have like the blood of gods, I guess. Running back is a very short-lived position. They get used up for a franchise, and then they kind of bounce them after that. It's very injury prone. Running back's probably the most out of any position. So I wouldn't do too much investing there.
I would also imagine with Corona, if there's a position that's going to get or be very susceptible, is running backs. When you have like every play, you have 8 people's arms and sweat all over you. But that's why the only running back I've ever invested in, well, in the last couple of months at least since coming back, was Adrian Peterson, because the resume is there, even if he's not the top of the game in terms of rankings right now and running backs in the league. I know that long term, I feel very good about what AP has done on the field, right, and his resume.
Right.
So
yeah. That's the big thing, is like somebody that's already established and has already done some stuff. That's a good point. And on the fantasy side of that, like I tell people, and it's kind of a running joke right now, but I know I've mentioned it a few times, and then people are like, "Oh wow, you're a genius." I was like, like if I'm first up, man, if CMC, so CMC is going to be first off the board, off in every draft probably. If CMC hasn't got Corona by the time the season starts, I don't want to pick him up, because then he gets Corona, then he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. I'd rather draft Ezekiel Elliott, who already had it, already had Corona, a couple months ago. So now he's got the antibodies. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to worry about him going out from Corona. So
yeah, it's like its own training camp.
Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. Dude, that's funny. Old or odd D human puts, I wouldn't invest in anything other than quarterbacks, which is a very interesting comment, because that is the traditional best route, right? Quarterbacks, it's proven you can have a 20-year career. Injuries aren't as much of a concern. However, with more money and interest flooding football, as well as fantasy football guys entering, and honestly, it's just fun when we consider other players. Like in basketball, if we only considered point guards or small forwards, we wouldn't be satisfied, because we know there's other good players. And I bring this up because when Rob Gronkowski joined the Bucks, we saw a spike in his prices, which makes sense. But then I listed one of my Gronk PSA 10 rookie cards at a pretty high price, at $325, and I was like, all right, that's a lot. I'll take it at that price, because I only paid $84. And literally yesterday, one of them sold. I got a couple offers the days before, and I just declined. Offered them $290 and $315. I was like, nah, I'll wait. And then my Gronk rookie card sold for $325, which makes me think, all right, cool. Maybe there's room for wide receivers. There's room for tight ends. I want that to be the case, just because it's more fun on my side. But what are you seeing, or what are you feeling with wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, and any other positions for the upcoming year?
Well, the big thing about Gronk too, though, is that he's got rings under his belt. He's won a couple Super Bowls. He's got some accolades. So, I could see the investment standpoint from there. So he's a little bit different in my mind than comparing. I would compare him more to somebody who has already, who's already achieved something. Like you're looking at, Jerry Rice's and stuff like that. They've won Super Bowls. They've had accolades. Emmitt Smith, so it's just like people who have done something. But you have people that are coming in that are promising. The one guy I'm really interested in, I think the biggest thing is that we need to keep an eye on because like we said, like everything that's going on in the sports card market right now is very unprecedented. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Some of this is brand new. Things change. We saw Bobo go up, for having one good game. You know what I mean? Like
I checked market movers. It was up 480%.
That's what I'm saying. So it's unprecedented. So we don't know.
What's funny about that real quick is that when there's such little sports going on, there is every small bit of activity seems to be a reason for people to flock, because we're so desperate for any sort of movement in actual sports or any signing, anything going on. Oh, you hit a 3-pointer, but you don't normally do it. You must have been practicing all training camp, all quarantine.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that's kind of scary, because there's such a lack of sports that the smallest thing can create the biggest jump. And even when I look at the biggest movement using market movers, I'll see the players that have the most movement. Colin Kaepernick, Tom Brady joined the Bucks. What's his name? Jared Stidham becoming the starter, and then Cam Newton for replacing Jared Stidham as the starter. That's pretty much all the news we've had over the last couple months.
Yeah. No, like I said, it's just funny. So it's unprecedented. I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at right now to kind of see what happens, I think some of the players that I'm honing in on that are outside of the quarterback that are really going to be telltale signs of what's going to happen in the market, to me, in my opinion, would be like Michael Thomas. Like I'm watching Michael Thomas to see what happens with his cards, because he has the popularity and he has the, can't guard Mike. He's got like, if his cards start going, then now we're looking at a market that is investing in people who haven't really accomplished everything in it. And now we're getting more into that hype stream. So like someone like him, Michael Thomas, someone like CMC, if CMC card prices, I mean, I know that they're going up, but they're not, you can't like, so basically to me, CMC, if you look at CMC and you look at Luka Doncic, it's like the same person almost, you know, they have like, they're like one of the best, and, you know, they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, or, you know, haven't won the an NBA playoff, but they're really good and they look like they're going to have really good careers. You know, so if I'm looking at CMC and his card prices start to go in that direction, if Michael Thomas cards start to go in that direction, then I start thinking about, you know, investing in wide receivers and such like that, you know, outside of the people who have already won different things, you know. So other than that, I'm just riding the hype train. You know, I bought some Cam Newtons when those came out, and I've sold all those because I just don't think it's going to hold up. So I just, you know, I sold my PSA 10. There's a couple of guys that I'm looking at that I think are going to hold the hype. One of the guys, man, I always give up my secrets. So Brandon Ingram was one of my guys, and his stuff has gone up significantly just because people started realizing that dude was scoring like 24 points a game. He's an all-star now, and he's got Zion Williamson. So he's a great player. And he was a second overall draft pick in 2016. And then you look at another guy that I'm really focusing on right now as well, that looks like he's going to be really promising, is MPJ. That's another guy that I think he's always been really good. Michael Porter Jr. And we saw a little bit from him, yesterday, I think it was. But that's who that guy is. And I think he's going to be one of the main offensive weapons on the Nuggets. It's a defensive team. And so, him paired up with Jokic, I think we're going to see some rises in him very, very soon. We've already started seeing it, but I think he's going to start rising up even further.
Well, what's interesting is that, I'm getting back into sports, so I can't wait to watch a Thursday night and get a bit of NBA action and put my everything that I'm hearing to the test and see what's going on. But even players that I thought the cards I would be buying would sell in 6 months or a year or 2 years are selling for me on Comp C. And I mean, just as an example, I sold Dwight Howard first year Prism. Not even his rookie card, first year Prism, which to me is like, all right, after the rookie card, after the Topps Chrome, after the Bowman Chrome, all right, first year Prism. And I'm like getting $10 for a first year Dwight Howard raw Prism card that I bought for 99 cents, maybe 45 or 60 days ago. And I don't know, I think it's just a sign of, okay, people are just desperate for anything that's underpriced. Doesn't matter how much of a stretch it is. And even the Topps Chrome Dwights I was getting for $4 each. So like, yeah, Dwight, he could have a moment and I'll hold on to it for a year. The first one sold for $24, because I was like, all right, I'll list it for $24, 5 to 6x what I'm paying. But it's just funny because, man, it's literally hype right now. It has to be hype because we have nothing. So what's really interesting is if we have the NBA, if we have Major League Baseball, if we have NFL, if we have NHL, all going on simultaneously, it's going to be absolutely crazy because you're going to actually see, all right, this guy no one was talking about, he came off the bench, replaced that injured starter, had a huge game. This guy, the starter that everyone's been investing in, twists his ankle and is now out for the playoffs. This guy, backup quarterbacks here, Drew Brees goes down, maybe Jameis, our old quarterback Jameis Winston goes in. There's a lot of things, but right now it's just a waiting game of, I want to get in. And I have money, or I'm wanting to put it where I feel like it's undervalued. But when a price hits a record high of one player, what's undervalued just gets relative to that one price, right? Because now it's like, well, if this LeBron James card sold for 1.8, then what would a Kobe Bryant 1 of 1 or whatever sell for? And that's bringing up the market because we don't actually have anything going on. So I'm just eager for sports. I'm eager for something. Let's see what other questions.
Ready to see what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, man. Because at this point, it's literally like we are the sport. Sports card investing and collecting is the sport because we don't have anything to actually watch. Let's see. Oh, someone asked about Beckett Marketplace. Near mint to mint is the only grade I will buy. And because it's card shop owners, usually near mint to mint is really good. And it could be off center based on the year and the card. And like usually it's corners. They're not looking at grading these cards because it was a $2 card not too long ago. And then now it's a $12 card, but in the system it's $2. So they might not even be looking at that. Yeah, risk tolerance for sure. Let's see what else. What's up, Paul the person, Joseph Gallant, Jameis. That's right, man. Hey, you know what? Just like all the others, it's buy low. It's no matter. I think that's the difference now. Is there's a lot of buy high, hope for higher, and I'm like, let me just buy low. And that might mean Jameis Winston rookie cards. That might mean like a lot of others where it's just like all you need is one little bit, one maybe even just coach thinks of starting Jameis Winston in the news for it to be enough. So that's where I'm at. Brian, are you buying Prism or is it too scary at this point? If so, graded or raw? What's your take?
Am I buying Prism?
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, most of the stuff I'm buying is to sell at a certain point. So, that's kind of where I'm at this point. I have my 10s that I keep, but anything under that, anything that comes back graded 9, I'm just going to sell it. And I'm just looking for opportunities. But yeah, I mean, Prism is where it's at right now. And the more and more people that are coming in right now at this moment, I think for this period of time where we're at, as the hobby is kind of, there are people that are in the market that are older that have been in the hobby, but the people that are driving the market right now are newbies, really. They have some knowledge, they have little to some knowledge. And when they come in, all they know is that, okay, this is the rookie that I should be looking for. It's this, man, what's going on with these things? Holy moly. All they know is that they need to look for this Prism graded PSA 10. They're not looking at pop reports, not looking at any of that stuff. They're just buying it all up and then just flipping it, so.
That's it. Yeah. And there's a thought process I always had, which is what cards are cool? If I was young and I was getting into this and I wanted something cool, what would I buy? And I make sure not to buy that because I don't want any cool points right now because cool usually is tied to hype. I want what will be cool next, right? It's like the mom jeans are in right now and the giant white sneakers. It's like I don't want that because that's selling for a premium. I want to buy the small black sneakers and the tight jeans because that's going to be the new trend because now I can get that on sale. And it's just interesting though because there's so many different perspectives, so many different strategies. But when I see some of these prices of players that have just been hyped up for the last 4 months, I go, what the hell? I mean, like you have all-time greats that are selling for way less.
No doubt.
I don't know who Adam Lefko is. Who's that? So no, I didn't see it.
All I know is that a lot of people are talking about. I watch the Fantasy Footballers a lot. It's like one of my favorite fantasy shows that I watch. And the main guy who does the show, he's been talking about sports cards. Like he's talked about it like 2 or 3 times in the past 2 months, and he's like, "Yeah, it's huge. It's becoming big. Me and my son are collecting." And so a lot of people it's just growing, But yeah, I think like you said, like the hype. So that's where I kind of just that's where I'm more of the short term on my stuff, on most of my stuff. Short term, and then I buy stuff like this, the select, which I think is going to hold more value later on. And
I think I like that because too, what's really fun about this hobby is that there's so many different ways of calculating upside. So if you really believe in one player, if you're like, I'm all in on Zion, I know everything about him, I truly believe he's going to be the next star, you can say, okay, I'm in on Zion. Now, what card? What grading company? Like, all right, now what is it? Do you want to go into his optic? Do you want to go into his Donruss? Do you want to go into SGC? Do you want to go into PSA 8s or 9s? There's so many ways of now looking at what's the undervalued side of this player via all these cards. I think that's where it really gets interesting. And while everyone else is buying a certain variation like Prism, you could be like, hey, you know what? Select or Optic or Mosaic or one of these others. I feel like this is going to be this is going to be the Zion of cards, right? Here's the Zion, the Zion of athletes, but now what's the Zion of cards? What's the next one to really break out? And then we can do that with grading. Is it SGC that's really going to close the gap? Is BGS going to have a comeback and close the gap? Or is PSA going to get bought? I mean, what if Gary Vee says, I'm buying SGC? I'm buying SGC. Boom. That's a game changer right there. So there's just so many different ways to push at it. Lefko is a Bleacher Report podcast guy. I did not hear about it. I'd love to hear what the takeaway was.
I think
Prism 2020, 2021. So, I mean, going into, let's just say, what are some things that you notice right now or that you take with you in your investing that you didn't when you started off? Like things that you're like, damn, I really wish I would have known that a couple months ago. The biggest learning lessons, let's say.
I mean, as far as investing, I mean, just not, I did a video on this earlier, but like, I mean, one of the biggest lessons that you learn is just not to be like breaking packs all the time.
Sorry, Jason Breaks.
Yeah.
Sorry, all the breakers out there.
I mean, I know that, like, I'm just saying from like an investment standpoint, like, when I first started, I was like, oh man, it's cool. Like I'm going to chase this card or I'm going to chase that card. And in reality, after I spent all the money, I could have just bought like
you could have chased it on eBay.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have chased them to buy it now.
Exactly. And it is fun. And I still do it here and there, but at a certain point it becomes like, like you're kind of gambling with your money a little bit on some of them. And I don't have anything against breaks, but yeah, that was one of the lessons that I learned. Like when I got in, it was like super excited and I was like, oh, I'm just going to break it. And then I would go to the store and sometimes I would get like, I got lucky a few times and I got some optic in the store and I bought it up and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to like resell this to some people or because it was never there. So if I was going to go, that's basically what happens is that one person will go and like the person before them cleaned it out and they're like, oh my God. And then the next time they see it, they're like, oh, I got to buy all of it. And so they clean out. Then the next guy comes in and he's like, oh, next time I see it, I got to buy it all out. And it's just like a vicious circle. And and what do you call it? I would buy all those packs and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell it to somebody or I'm going to do a break or something like that. And then guess what? I would end up breaking them suckers open. And like, only a couple times did it work out for me, and so, yeah, buying the singles has been way better. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that, obviously I've been doing research since I got in it. I've never really just took it at face value. I think there's been a couple times rather grind and shine. That's funny. I think there was a couple times where I pulled the trigger on a card too fast, thinking that it was a good deal. And especially earlier on, and then realized that what I bought wasn't what I thought I bought, And so like before you buy, like definitely research. And that's all I do now. But
yeah. And honestly, I think when you find the niche, the research becomes a lot of fun because when you realize, all right, this is the sport, this is what I want to learn. And I think just like anyone getting into anything, but especially cards, there's a lot of money at play. And because of that, you want to research even more. And when you find your niche, it's fun to do the research. Like if I went into baseball, I wouldn't have as much fun because that's just not my sport. It would be more of work. When I say, all right, I'm going to stick to NFL and 90s basketball and on up, I know, okay, it's narrow enough that I can really look there. And then if I start with my teams, it's going to be more fun because at least let me study my team first, see if there's opportunities here. But it's just like, I feel like a lot of people aren't doing as much research as they should because every investment right now, it's hard to lose money. It's hard to lose money now when people are entering at this pace and money is flocking or entering the hobby so that a decent investment looks great because you have someone that's just getting started a week ago with $500 that he wants to invest. But I'm interested to see who's going to be making money when the hobby is more flatlined, when it's not so hot, when it's just, okay, we know the people, it's growing 5% a year, but it's not like 300% more money in 6 months where it's like, hey, I just made 10X on this card. Wait, that guy hasn't even played yet. Nothing's happened. It's just 5 waves of new people have gotten in to buy up the cards. So I want to break myself, but I also know that is like just for personal reasons. I want to rip wax open from time to time.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
It's fun, but it's also knowing, yes, this is fun and you might get lucky, but that's not the strategy. The thing with sealed wax is I need to look at that more, but obviously it is a good investment where you're tying yourself to a whole rookie class and everything that's going on in that year versus a specific player. I just don't want to display sealed wax. I'm like, I'd rather just buy the cards and display the cards. And then I actually have to, I look at a PSA 10 Gronk card and at no point do I want to tear it out and hold it. But sealed wax, I'm like, man, like what's in there? I'd be thinking about that every day. So maybe if it's in a safe somewhere else, I would do it. But what's your take on sealed wax?
It's tough, man. I think there's definitely like some great investments in that area of like, if you buy like NT or Choice Prism, more of the hobby stuff is definitely going to increase in value. The other stuff does too, but it takes a lot longer. So I think if you have the discipline to do it, but I mean, I don't know too many people who have the discipline to do it, to be honest with you. It's tough not to
have to develop the discipline. Like, do you want to deal with that every day?
I don't want to look at that thing every day and be like, oh, there could be a Luca in there. If I had like a 18-19 Choice Prism on my shelf, it would be so hard not to open that thing to look for like, the Tiger and like, come on, man. Like that would be so tempting. But yeah, so it's man, there was another point that I wanted to hit that you talked about.
People getting into the hobby, the money that's entering, anything like that.
I can't remember what it was. It was something. Never mind. We'll just keep going. I had it.
Well, with the sealed, if you think of it, let us know. If you think of the sealed wax, for me, it's literally like having this cake, but not getting to eat it. Like literally, I'm going to eat this later. But sealed wax would be, hey, here's the cake, but you have to look at it every day and then just eat your broccoli. So I wouldn't be doing that myself. Ziggy, the only box I opened with a buddy of mine was that Donruss from February as more of like a, let me get in the hobby. This is fun. And I sold it and it was great. I sold the Zion, LeBron, and a couple others for about $280. So paid for the box. I got a little profit. I'm really happy about that. Let's see. I think we're going to end this soon, guys. This has been over an hour. This has been amazing, but I got to open this up. This is from Ziggy.
83
Please send me something cool, Ziggy, not a Pau Gasol, my least favorite player ever card.
Hey, Paul Gasol.
Sweet. Check that out. Chris Godwin. Oh, there's another one there. Red, white, and blue. Chris Godwin.
Oh,
badass. And you know what, Boris, you're a Bucks fan too, right?
Yes.
Look at that. This is from Ziggy, guys. So special thank you to Ziggy. This will be going in my – well, actually, these look too nice to go in here, but this would be my Tampa sports display case. But I really appreciate that. And that's something really cool about this hobby versus other industries and other hobbies, I guess, is that people are just so generous. Not like you were back in the day, like kind of like how you were when you were a kid, but it results in good things here. But also it reminds me of when I was a kid and I used to trade cards and give them away, because that was something that we did when we were young and we didn't care so much about the cards and we enjoyed seeing someone else get them. And now it's gotten very transactional. So if we could keep just that level of enjoyment, I think it's really special. Any final words? I definitely want you guys to check out Borys. If there's any final questions, let me know. But we're over an hour here. I want to respect Borys's time. But yeah, the Hobby Box, obviously here on YouTube. And then you have an Instagram that you post often. Anywhere else that you'd like people to check out your station?
No, I mean, that's it. Most of that's on there. Do you have are you in my Discord? I'm not sure if you're in my Discord.
No, yeah, you're gonna have to tell me how to get on that.
Okay.
I was like, what the hell is Discord? Like 3 months ago, and then now I'm in 19 groups.
Yeah, Ziggy's actually, there's a couple guys in here that are in my Discord, but it's pretty cool. I'm trying to build up that community. That's an awesome spot to come in and talk to different collectors and investors. We do sales in there, and I do a pretty cool thing where if you buy something from someone and the transaction goes well, then if both parties say it does, and I assign them like different like levels of investor is what I call it, but it kind of tells you like who has done previous transaction and who's safe to like deal with. So I do stuff like that, and but yeah, the Discord is always in the description of my YouTube videos, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I love pushing out there, to have people in that group.
Yeah, and Ziggy can attest to that as well. Samuel views, I got the card display on eBay or Amazon. It's very cheap. It's not made very well, so don't put any really high valuable cards in there, but it does look good. So if you're just going to be on the wall, it's about $33. You can't go wrong with that. What was the other question I just got off of here? Oh, the virtual. Al, are we doing the virtual? I'm going to pop in, but honestly, I spend all my time on the damn computer and on my phone. And I live in LA where all I want to do is be outside in the sun. And so like I'll pop in, but I can't wait for an in-person card show. And didn't you mention, Borys, that there's a card show going on in Tampa soon?
Yes, August 8th and 9th.
Yeah, I might have to fly to Tampa for that. Is it going to be a decent size?
I mean, they've been getting bigger from what I've been hearing. So I haven't the last one I missed because I was in quarantine. So dang it won't let me post this in here. Oh well. Trying to do the Discord link.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'm not sure if I could post it, but we could definitely put it in the comments. Or if you want to just tell me what it is, post it in the comments.
Here, I'll put it in your I'm gonna send it to you in the private chat, and then you can if you can put it up there, you can. If not,
okay, cool. Damn, that was quick.
Yeah, because I can't do it. It won't allow me.
Like guys, if you leave a comment on any of my videos, I'll always respond to the first one. I just don't get notified of the following ones on YouTube. But understand it's a lot of work because I literally type like this. And it is like 19 minutes to enter 3 lines. So, but I appreciate your comments. I'm happy to do that.
The last Tampa show had
5 vendors. Dude, I hope wherever you are in the country or the world that there are some in-person card shows with obviously safety measures, just so we can get that feel, because I really miss that human-to-human interaction, especially around a cool hobby. Because we're getting all the online stuff now, which is great, but I would love to just interact in person, because that's where you really feel the energy and the excitement going on. So August 8th in Tampa, and yeah, that's awesome.
August 8th and 9th. I'll be there the 8th, but
very cool. All right, guys. Well, look, there's the Discord link right there. So make sure to copy it. I'll leave it up for another couple seconds. But Borys, thanks so much for your time, man. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys got some enjoyment, some value out of it. And I hope you all have ice cream or cake or pizza or something to enjoy with. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you.